You are listening to Deconstruction Podcast, presented by the Architectural Authority magazine.
The biggest change in the last few years is people want work at home or office space or even a designated area, even if it's an open space. They want, some kind of work at home,
Area
component
space,
space, whether if it's enough space to have a dedicated space for it, or at least if it's an open concept, some kind of, area to keep that, to have that. So I would say that's the biggest change, transition.
This episode is brought to you by Paramount Consulting and Engineering. Since 2010, Paramount has over 4,000 projects completed across Florida and the Caribbean. From building envelope consulting and structural design to special threshold and forensic inspections, Paramount delivers precise, reliable solutions backed by experience, expertise, and results you can trust.
This is Deconstruction, a space where we explore the ideas, trends, and stories shaping the world of architecture, design, and construction. Today, our conversation is about the Miami design market, what has shaped it over the past decade, and what is influencing it now. To help us break that down, we have a special guest, Harvey Dana, associate publisher at Florida Design Miami. With over a decade working alongside leading designers, brands, and developers, he has unique lenses on how Miami luxury design scene has evolved and what is coming next. Thank you, Harvey. Welcome to be here.
Thank you for having me on your show. I appreciate that. It's nice to be here.
No, nice to having you. I was following you to try to get you here, sitting in that chair.
I know. Thank you. I know it's been a while. We've tried to get here, but it's been busy.
No, yes.
I just recently returned from Milan Design Week, so that has been a challenge in getting back
to speed, no?
Back up to speed.
Yes. Well, the first thing that I have to ask, so the people know you, everybody knows you in Miami, but I want you to tell us a little bit of how you became who you are for the Florida Design.
I started my career in publishing, actually in tourism.
Oh.
And I did that for many years for the tourism concierges, hotels, and doing my career started in tourism. And then it eventually evolved into home and design. My former boss within tourism had leaped into the design world, into design publications, and had asked me to go along for the ride with him. So I thank him. Mike Peterson was my boss at that time. And I started my career reinventing my career in home and design for over the last 15, 20 years.
That's what we were talking about a few minutes ago, transformation of careers. And I do believe that the life has a way of putting things together so we can, with information and the knowledge that we have from before, transform and have those tools to be a better in the next wave, no? So the way that you jump into design, and you have been doing this for over a decade, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
So
happily.
You have seen the development of Miami. You have seen how Miami was 10 years ago, and you have seen it now. So tell me a little bit of the story of what the market in Miami looked like 10 years ago, and then we'll start from there, because the idea is that we understand the past, the present, and the future for the Miami design industry from your lenses, which is, a broad spectrum.
Well, obviously, in 10 years, it's been quite a bit of growth,
right.
But the landscape does remain the same. And that is interesting enough that the roadways are the same. The landscape is the same. Just everything's gotten vertical because of lack of space, land.
Yes.
So the buildings have become taller. Shopping centers or areas have become vertical, 2-story Publixes and various shopping areas all become vertical. So everything has become taller and more vertical.
Yeah, the density have changed.
The density has changed our lives. So there's a lot more density. And the other thing that's changed, people want walkability, convenience. So Miami has done a very good job downtown, the DDA, of creating live, work, space.
Yeah, these mixed uses, right?
Mixed use of created these wonderful neighborhoods now that have live, work, play. And so it's really nice that you can stay in an area and live there and not have to travel for entertainment or to work.
Which is efficient, right?
It's efficient and it's nice, and it creates neighborhoods and it creates a lifestyle. So that is the one thing that has changed a lot.
Because before it wasn't like that.
More spread out. We had more land, less development. So now that there is more and more, they're requiring, people want accessibility. They want walkability.
And also the population changed, right? Like the type of people living in Miami 10 years ago was completely different than now. So what was before and what is now the population?
More, so much more seasonality, more, second home buyers, and that still exists, but the tide has definitely changed. There are a lot more year-round residents living here. A lot of businesses come here. So that has brought together more people that live here permanently, more families. There's a lot of C-level executives that have come with the Citadel, that company that has brought all their headquarters here on Brickell. And
yes.
Many others have, joined. There's many companies now that have.
The Citadel Tower it's to be open next year. No?
I am not sure of the exact date. I know that it's in the works and they're planning, and they've shown renderings.
Exactly.
I don't know if it's been started or when it's completion, but it's on the boards to be.
From the perspective of your career as a publisher, the target that the magazine had before, because I guess you do everything regarding who is going to read it and what this is for, right? So 10 years ago, who was your reader? Who was the people that was consuming this product?
It's the same person that was 10 years ago. The magazine has been in publishment for 36 years.
Oh, wow.
So it's the same reader. We are a newsstand paid publication. So we are not what is referred to as a throwaway publication. We are purchased or we have subscriptions. So we always have been and still do a high-end, design-oriented, interested reader, whether they're in the industry or they're just interested in design. So we have, two different readers. We have the industry, the trade, and then we have the high-end consumer.
Exactly, because the high-end consumer goes to these magazines to find the people to renovate their homes or build their new spaces or commercial or residential or hospitality.
That's correct. They find the people that they want to design with, or they get inspired by the magazine and to get what they want.
Exactly.
So it always comes from the consumer or the reader, that they pull out the pages or mark the pages and send it to the architect or the designer, what they're looking for, what they want.
Is it only physical? And
we also have, everything is online, digital. So we have digital subscriptions as well as printed. So everything today is printed and online. So you can read it online or purchase it through on a newsstand, whether it's on a supermarket or an airport.
The publications that you have there are more focused on the residential or for the commercial?
We focus on residential. Okay. It's primarily, however, we do some yachting features, and we do some very stylized or very interesting hotel projects and
boutique
restaurants.
Ones.
So we do, but primarily 90% is residential.
Because it's the Miami lifestyle and the scale. So would you say that from the 10 years ago to now, have the houses scale changed? Have the type of customer changed regarding, before it was the American snowbird, right? That you just mentioned. And now what is the people consuming the product or building residentials here? What is the people that now is consuming your
Well, Miami has always been, since the 50s, 60s, an international market. So we are very blessed to have such a diverse population. We have, certainly Latin America is a very big, strong, and has been for many years, to our economy and our lifestyle and our population, as well as the Northeast is always, that's really what started, in Miami in the 20s and 30s and 40s were the Northeast, the New York and the Boston and the Northeast
Was our primary consumers,
was
exactly.
that came to, South Florida, to, and built it, built, and then following those decades came the Latin American, certainly the Cuban population was very strong here in the late 50s and 60s that drove the population and the lifestyle of Miami.
Yeah. And Harvey, how do you think the influence of these whole different populations and the fact that the people move here, it's influencing actually the design? Because the design that you can see here and that is the reflect of the spectacular designers leading, the market here in Miami, is that hybrid. You have the Latin flavors, you have these European flavors. We
have
just
the
came
New
from
Yorkers. We have them all. We really are blessed to have such a great diverse and luxury is
Luxury,
where we are, luxury, high-end luxury, and that's used very loosely, and I'll explain a little more. But people want bigger spaces, they want open concept living, and they also want to find spaces at the same time. So
explain that.
So in open concept living, which has been around for over a decade, has definitely driven how we live today. We don't have exact formal spaces of when I grew up, a formal living room, a formal
kitchen,
dining room, a separate kitchen.
The TV room.
It's all open concept living. The biggest change in the last few years is people want work at home or office space or even a designated area, even if it's an open space. They want, some kind of work at home
area,
component space, whether if it's enough space to have a dedicated space for it, or at least if it's an open concept, some kind of, area to keep that, to have that. So I would say that's the biggest change, transition. And people just want bigger spaces. The developers are offering more and more 3 and 4 bedroom options. In the past, it was, 1 or 2 bedroom kind of options. Now there's a lot more. They're offering more 3 and 4. So people want a lot more space.
And how do you think the pandemic, like 2020, affected the way
the work at home, for sure.
The work at home, exactly.
And I know that you want to touch on wellness a little bit.
We are going to, yeah.
They want home gyms. Or they want some kind of yoga space, or things like that. They want a workout space or a meditation room.
Exactly.
So they want different kinds of spaces.
Because the way that we from that point on, families and people is spending more time at home, and that translates into the creation of flexible spaces that can hold the different functions that they used to have outside, right? So the transition of these many activities, especially the working from home, was the first catalytic, because you could exactly, it came from that. But after you spend more time at home, you realize that the home that you were living in was not designed for you. It was not giving you the space, the comfort, the quality. And then now from that point on, the wellness, which is not what we are talking about a spa, and we are going to talk about in depth a little bit of what really wellness mean. It's starting into this evolution of the design in Miami. It's worldwide. Right?
It's global. It's not just Miami, but Miami is certainly a very edgy, up and coming city that has definitely building trends. I mean, it's a very young.
Totally.
We are definitely.
And they have the resources, right?
We have a lot of resources. We have the population is definitely younger. It's definitely, we're driving a lot of the newer concepts, and it's being designed for the younger.
Because they want to live, exactly. They are already connected to all of this, and let's talk about a little bit of what really wellness is. No, well, the wellness in our industry is being related to spa-looking areas, which is some of that. It's good, it's okay, but wellness in reality relates to health, relates to your well-being, relates to your sleeping rhythms. It relates to how comfortable you are. It relates to toxicity in your space. So it goes beyond only having a space where you can meditate, because the space where you can meditate is only the space. But how is it built? Who is the designer that is leading that way of your brain interpreting the space? No.
Well, that part of it what you're talking about is about biophilic design, and that has to do with, colors and the way things, not feng shui in that sense, but there's a
The
lot of
senses, how we
how
perceive
the
it.
senses, bringing nature inside, how you face light, bringing in wellness components like gyms. Saunas are back big time, and that's become it was very big in the 70s, took
The
a hiatus, and now it's very big again. People are incorporating saunas in their
spaces
bathroom and their
dedicated
space
to
wherever
that.
they can have it. We touched on it earlier, having a yoga space or a Pilates studios, a gym, maybe a meditation room, and also the smart home has brought some
Exactly.
of the wellness into it. You can really operate a lot of, whether you need shading for light or all that can be automated now, and you can do a lot of different things with
Because it's
home lighting
about how you feel within the space,
and
right?
how you feel within
And
the space, different times of day, different lighting. So you may need different kind of shading solutions. So it really involves so many. We could spend hours just on what the different features that could be to help wellness and feeling well.
yeah, but that's that specifically. I don't have many opportunities to talk to people that understand the trends. That's why it's a bless to have you here, because you see it from the perspective of what is people looking and what they are getting. And what's the meaning of the typical consumer understanding of wellness and what it really means, and breaching that gap, because it's the in the market, wellness now could mean incorporating this hot plunge or the
The
spa,
cold plunge, yeah,
exactly, in your house, no? But it's all over the spectrum of creating the whole, let's call it,
lifestyle.
yes, but it's like they created these rooms with all of the different options, like the red light, the hot, the cold, the massage. It's a whole spectrum of activities that you are now bringing to your home, that you are incorporating into your daily routines that were not before.
Well, the consumer or the buyer or the end user is aware, and they are very aware through publications, obviously, but social media. So they are very aware what they want and what they require. So depending on space and budget, they want to incorporate these things in the home. Certainly, if it's a single family, larger home, they can incorporate more. In the condominium or rental market, they have a lot of these activity floors that have been included in these buildings
Yeah, let's
that
touch
have a
about that.
lot of these features that we're speaking about. So they require, if they're going to be moving into those types of building, that they have those kind of features. So people are requiring it, and they are requesting it, and they are informing and passing along to the designer
And that
that
is
what they
moving the market.
want. Yeah,
That's moving the market to that way, because what is the actual driver of the developers to satisfy the customers, right? If people is asking for wellness spaces, they need to deliver that.
that's
They
correct.
need to
That's
deliver new
correct.
buildings incorporating all of this. And the people that is finding a designers need to learn now how they are going to provide these type of services in a way that really creates the performance effect that the buyer is trying to achieve, because at the end it's about human performance.
Correct. So the end user will, if the designer is listening, or the developer, to listen to the consumer, the end user, because they will tell you what they're looking for. If you certainly, some are more direct than others, but if you listen carefully, you will understand what they're looking for, and you can
Exactly.
see. I always encourage. I know that you were in Milan as well as I was. I encourage all the designers and design enthusiasts to go to the shows,
Totally.
to go to the trade shows, whether it's Milan, New York, Miami. We even have some in Miami as well. To go to the shows because all the trends come out from all the manufacturers, and you can learn about them so that you can
Exactly.
bring them to your clients.
D-
So it's one way of really keeping on top of it. If you go to the trade shows and see what the different companies are producing and coming to market with, that you can share with your clients.
Exactly. These trade shows are ahead of the curve. And one of the things that I saw in Milan was the transformation of materials. And it was materiali, like the actual name of the internee was materiali. Everybody was talking about the actual component where we are building things. And that's beautiful for me, being a contractor and a developer, for me knowing, because it's my passion, is how to transform ideas into a reality, but in a responsible way. So now I see that movement into the actual producers, because if they don't catch up, if we are not, building with materials that are responsible and having designers that understand that, and design spaces that are responsible with human well-being, so then we are going to fall really behind.
No, there's no question the manufacturers of all products, material, have definitely put in the sustainability and wellness factor into all the products, from starting from the actual production process, how their factories, are all going to zero or low carbon emissions. I was recently at a manufacturer, Laufen, which made plumbing fixtures, and now they have developed filters in the
Beautiful.
toilets that they can separate the water from the urine. So everyone in the industry, and then from even from fabrics, that they're using no petroleum, that because
Exactly.
they give off emissions in your
Exactly.
home,
VOC, toxicity to you, to everything that
toxicities.
you touch and you transfer.
So they are,
Beautiful.
developing, fabrics with, zero petroleum. So there's, everyone is aware, the manufacturers are
Beautiful.
definitely aware of it. Certainly the codes in certain cities and towns and states are, water is a big issue.
You consume it.
So they are, there's a lot of
Regular
requirements and
standards, new standards.
standards that they're
Exactly.
for water conservation. So everybody is aware of how to protect our and go forward, and they keep on developing these different methods and standards that
Yeah.
we are going to be seeing and are seeing.
Exactly. This is a kind of an interesting question, and if you don't feel comfortable, you won't answer it. But the idea, one of the things that I see with hyper luxurious is that we are not very responsible for, to that. Like, we want the actual high end consumer want the best product, bringing the slabs from the actual Calacata area and flying in here, and then not being responsible with the environment or with everything that we do. But I now see a tendency of that customer, because he has learned, he has evolved, to ask for different options. And then the manufacturers have elevated their products so they can match high-end looks, but being responsible. And that's like, for me, wow.
Absolutely. No, the consumer is asking for the options. You are correct, and they are offering the designer, the builder, the various products are offering options. There are many, many, many options, and that's what I was touching on earlier. If you attend the trade shows where all these you will know the various options. One of the things I've recently seen was recycling from glass countertops. I mean, they're
Wow. Yep.
beautiful. Instead of using a quartz product that is giving off a lot of emissions.
Correct.
It's not very
Sustainable. Yeah.
sustainable, and they're not very healthy, the quartz products. So there are a lot of alternatives now to using those kind of products.
Exactly. And we're recycling and everything we can.
So it was interesting to see this, countertop surfaces, or anything you wanted to use with it, but it's all made from recycled glass.
Exactly. And brands like, for example, Rimadesio and all of these big brands are bringing fabrication, the actual wood, laminates, and etc. They are sourcing it from different areas
Yes.
where they can be better product, with a certified, well, sustainable, etc. So all of this trend, I will say, it will transform. It will be reflected in the new a high-end luxurious
Oh,
market
for
in Miami,
sure.
because we have the money here in this market. It's unique because we just talk about diversity, we talk about the population, we talk about that we are biohacking. This is a biohacking city. Everybody knows about wellness, no? Having the
Well,
money.
we have an environment, we live in an environment that encourages wellness. We can
Exactly.
go outside, 90% of the time, um, bearing other, weather elements,
Simply,
but we can walk and run and be outside and,
we are
exercise
blessed.
outside.
Yes.
Many of the Pilates and classes, some of them are,
Outside.
outside. So we're lucky that we can take advantage of those type of opportunities just from being in a nice climate.
Yeah, we are in the spot, right? So tell me a little bit of the last publication that you mentioned, that we have something of
Well,
wellness
we
related.
did our current Miami issue has quite a few articles and stories about
Fantastic.
wellness and how people are incorporating them in their home, and it's interesting to read about and see.
Fantastic.
We talked about that, putting in yoga studio and plunge pools and gyms, home gyms. So there's quite a bit of that consciousness in the home.
And there is any designer that you are come up to your mind, or any building that you see that is already incorporating all of this and is leading, this wave?
All of the newer buildings, and certainly even the old, I live in an older building, they're just reusing the spaces,
Mm,
reimagining the spaces,
retrofitting.
retrofitting, if you will. So many of the new buildings are already incorporating all these features that people want: paddle courts,
That's a
racquetball,
big thing now.
all the different um, various sporting activities inside. Indoor basketball courts, there's bowling alleys in some of them. So many of the newer buildings are incorporating some of these wellness and activities.
Activities, yeah, in this mixed use type of environment. So how do you think, how in your mind, that you have seen, what we were 10 years ago, you see us now, how do you see the Miami in 10 years, like how the spaces are going to look like? It's because I will say that the evolution is exponential, that we are keep building, and there are people is changing, demolishing, and refurbishing everything again. So how is the space?
Repurposing spaces. I see much of what we're doing now, just more of the same. I think that we'll see people, just more and more working from home, staying more at home, because people like home theaters, cooking,
Cooking is a big thing.
living in these work, play environments, that we live in now. Some there is being developed and being more expanded into those type of things.
And what do you think about the people that says that Miami has a bubble, like people is moving here and then leaving?
Well, there's always an ebb and flow to any city. People There was a loss of some population while we gain in other areas. So Miami is involved that it's not just a secondary home market any longer. So it's always ebb and flow, and people are coming and going all the time. As things disappear, there's invent new things. And so we replacing the secondary market now with people that are living here, and companies moving here, bringing their workforce. So
Correct.
staying here, bringing their families or their single, whatever their lifestyle brings, but it's coming more as a bona fide year-round city, metropolitan area that does not
Exactly.
rely on just a specific
The influx of
category.
different seasons.
Yeah,
Exactly.
it's so we rely. It's a year-round community, and it's all of South Florida is that becoming that way,
Exactly.
where things were very seasonal It's just
It's
not
no
that way.
longer
It's
like
no
that.
longer like that.
And that's when people investors ask me about that, I say it's no longer a
It's no
seasonal
longer.
city.
It hasn't been
People,
that way for a long time, but people are really starting to see it now.
yeah, exactly, because the trend after COVID, people move in and they didn't return,
Yeah.
and the market didn't went down.
And
And
even prior to that, people were doing it too. Just that it was slower. It was just more. But the trend has been that way for quite a while.
And then I think also I've been talking about this situation with a couple of my friends. Also, the fact that the first the settlement here in Miami originally was the Cuban community. They were the ones that were in the majority, and the other communities of the United States were only snowbirds. So that community, now born and raised in Miami, it has settled, and then it's becoming a home for them, a hometown for them. And then from that transformation that started 10 years ago, this has transformed into a city that, with all this influx, it's affecting the infrastructure, is affecting new schools being built, is affecting universities growing, is affecting, like, it's not only residential, people is moving, people is settling with businesses here, but that's affecting the urbanism of Miami. Its spending is growing.
Yes, we're growing everywhere. There are, I remember Wynwood, for
Wingwood.
example, was factories. It was clothing, where the New Yorkers had come here in the 30s and 40s and built factories, light factories, and were making clothing.
Yeah, because we have the
And
port.
and now, it's a metropolis of galleries, shopping, restaurants. All the tech industry is moving into that particular area. It's a very young
Community.
vibe, urban area. So we've changed all our spaces in mind. It's changed drastically.
What do you think about Art Basel? That's another big thing in Miami that
Well, it's Art Week. Art Basel was the first to create that. It's 25 years old or 24 years old. So it definitely changed the art scene and the entire cultural scene of Miami. It did absolutely change it.
Exactly, and I do believe that the buzz that occurs when that is, because I moved here in 2009, and it wasn't that big, and it wasn't that present, and now it's the event of the year. Like, Art Basel is a week that brings every designer, a curator, a gallery around the world to Miami to see what's going on, and then to bring their product here, because here is the market to sell it. You have these super high-end residential buildings being built, all these brands, Armani, Ferrari, all of this Baccarat, all of these huge brand buildings being built. And who is going to live in a $5 million apartment without art? Like, everything is just getting bigger.
Well, Art Week or Art Basel, which Art Basel was the first to create Art Week, and then others came along and joined Art Basel with creating Art Week. It's a global phenomenon. It's not just about people buying artwork for here.
No.
People come from all over the world, whether they're collectors, art enthusiasts, various people come for that reason to see the art world come together, and it's a global thing.
It's
It's
a global
from
thing.
everywhere, and they come here to see and buy, whether it's a designer, just a person that wants a new piece of artwork in their home, and they come from everywhere.
Okay, so from your perspective, Harvey, the designers, our audience is very diverse. Since my show is about design, construction, development, we have a very broad audience. So, if from the portion of the audience that are emerging designers, because these emerging designers are people that is looking the best way to grow, the best way to contribute to the industry, what would be your recommendation for this young, or not that young, but people that is in getting into the design market in Miami? What is your recommendation?
Well, first and foremost is network as much as possible. Um, take advantage of, networking groups, get out to meet people, do activities, do group activities, but take advantage of
Show yourself.
networking as much as possible. Join various organizations that are of interest to you. There's certainly local chambers
Exactly.
of commerce. There are design groups that exist that they
Yes.
could be involved with. But that's how you will meet, the client that you may want to get, is to get out there and
To
network,
show yourself.
to
Yep.
show yourself and just to meet people as much as possible and what's comfortable for you.
Exactly. And as a closing, Harvey, do you have any message that you want to do to the audience that follows the Florida design and it's involved in the market and wants you to support this incentive?
Well, thank you first of all for having me. Yeah, Florida Design is a great publication. I enjoy working for the magazine. We do many things all over there throughout the course of the year. Next week we're going to have our fourth annual Sea Glass Awards,
Oh wow!
which will be held in Bonita Springs. We do have it throughout the state in a different city in the state of Florida every year.
Fantastic.
And this year will be, so we're expecting, we have, over 600 entries. And there'll be about 220 people
Wow.
attending the dinner award ceremony that we will have next Friday night, the 15th.
Fantastic.
So we're looking forward to that and announcing all the winners.
Wow.
And so,
what are the nominations? I was not informed. Otherwise, I will bring this point earlier.
Well, we have it's been going up for 4 years. We have a submission process. It's a paid submission process. We have about 40 categories
Wow.
that you can submit for. It has its own website, and that's fdcglassawards.com. That we start opening the process in October.
Beautiful.
And you can submit your projects, architects, designers,
Wow.
landscape architects,
Beautiful.
product designs, all types of categories that we have that you could submit for it. And then we announce the finalists in March.
Wow.
And then we have our awards dinner always the first or second week in May.
Fantastic. So that's a spectacular opportunity for emerging architects or designers in the field
Existing.
to show their work and to be seen.
Yeah, it's judged by outside of Florida, whether they're in the design industry, designers, people within the trade.
Fantastic. The jury
will be the judging. Will
very
we submit
important.
all the entries to these judges that are not in the state of Florida? We want to keep that separate.
Excellent.
And so they are all outside of the state of Florida.
And do you have any categories for the sustainability, wellness? Because that needs to be open.
Well, I believe that it is. I believe that we do have categories for that. So I'm not having the account in front of me to list them, but there are many categories.
Fantastic. I would love to get in contact with that section so I could, bring the people that is winning those categories here, because the space that we are co-creating here is for showing that. It's for showing the best ways that we can design and build in our industry.
fdcglassawards.com and they'll have all the information.
Fantastic. We are gonna put it on the link on the bio for the show so people can get to connect.
They can see. It's not open yet. It will reopen in October. But
for next year.
For next year, if you can remember that, and then all the categories will be listed and how to proceed, how to upload, and
are the projects only in Florida?
The projects do have to be in Florida, but the designer can be from New York,
exactly.
Los Angeles. Our current cover on Miami is a Los Angeles designer, but did a project in Miami.
Fantastic.
So as long as it's a Florida project, we can use it. Florida Design is a globally distributed product. We're in 21 countries and throughout the United States, but the content is strictly about Florida.
Yeah, I'm very,
but
I'm
it is
very.
globally distributed.
I love the fact that you guys had supported the design industry for the last 10 years, helping them show themselves in a
Well,
way.
we've been in it for 36
Exactly.
years. Yeah,
I know that you're being involved for 10 years, but 35 years, 36 years old, showing the heart and soul of the designers building Florida. No,
correct. Absolutely. So
I'm
we always have the top designers featuring their products and their designs. And so it's great to be a part of that to show. And we always have, the latest and the current trends of what's happening.
exactly, exactly. So I'm grateful for your time and for the space, and thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to Deconstruction Podcast. Your 5-star reviews really help us continue what we do. Please rate your listening experience, and let's keep building this beautiful community together. For exclusive access to more design content, visit thearchitecturalauthority.com or download our app from the App Store or Google Play. Until next time, stay creative.